Regional and rural Australians are some of the biggest losers in Labor's budget. They're left out and left behind in many key areas, drastically disadvantaged in the cost of living crisis, of course, access to childcare and the like, and importantly, critical infrastructure. Nearly $5 billion in funding for dam projects, for instance, has been scrapped, including the Hells Gate Dam in Townsville. Nationals leader David Littleproud joins me now live from Canberra. Thanks for joining us, David. Just tell us how badly the regional areas have suffered. I know Jim Chalmers likes to talk about postcodes. People shouldn't suffer according to their postcodes. It's a kind of an old lefty concept that he's borrowed from his old boss, Wayne Swan. But it sounds like the regional and country postcodes have certainly been discriminated against.
Yeah, he created a second-class citizen last night, Jim Chalmers. What he did was those that live outside capital cities, the 30% of Australians that live in regional rural Australia, we're the forgotten Australians. He basically turned his back on them. Not only did he leave us with trying to find $2,000 extra between now and Christmas to pay for just the standard of living that we'd expect, he's taken away our opportunity to have a job. Those young men and women out there can't even get a job because they can't put their children into childcare places. He spent $4.7 billion of your money and did not create one new childcare place in regional rural Australia. He gave subsidies of up to $22,500 for those earning up to $500,000, and I don't begrudge them that. But when your priorities is not thinking about having childcare accessibility, and someone in regional Australia, a young family in regional Australia that wants to be able to pay that $2,000 between now and Christmas might only get a job that will pay $60,000 or $70,000 if they're lucky. You take that opportunity away from them, and you start to feel a bit aggrieved about whether this government actually believes in you or not, and particularly when you have the guts ripped out of you in terms of infrastructure, you take away all hope of a future when you take away infrastructure that is going to grow regional Australia, but grow this nation. You're taking away the tools for them to be able to have an opportunity. You have to say that Jim Chalmers doesn't know too much about postcodes that go beyond the Great Dividing Range, and for him to say that he knocks around in regional Australia, I haven't seen him too far west of the divide too many times. Jim's pretty comfortable there in Brisbane and Canberra, and I think he's shown that he and this government, when they said that they'd govern for all, they'd leave no one behind. I think there's many regional Australians, particularly young families, that woke up this morning and gone, we've got 3/5 of bugger all, we've taken it into the neck, and when they've taken it all away, our infrastructure, and given it to Dan Andrews, without a business case, without Infrastructure Australia looking for a rail line to go around Melbourne, and they call the National Party pork barrelers, I mean, we're rank amateurs compared to this mob.
Yeah, just have a look at...
The hypocrisy is outstanding.
Let's have a look at Jim Chalmers in his budget speech last night.
Because no Australian should be denied by poverty, by postcode or by lack of privilege their chance at a better future.
Yeah, it's pretty ironic because he seems to think that money spent in rural postcodes is a boondoggle or pork barrel, but money spent in his preferred Labor electorates is fine. Just tell me this though, David Littleproud, some of these projects that have been scrapped were projects that you negotiated as Nationals leader in order to support net zero by 2050. So are you still committed to net zero by 2050 or is that deal done?
Well, we've actually signed up to that because if we didn't, your interest rates are going up by 3% and your commodity prices were going down. But we made sure that regional Australia wasn't going to foot the bill again, and we've had to meet two other international commitments that we lost property rights on as regional Australians are net compensated for. And so what we're making sure is that when we come back to government, and if the National Party is going to be part of any future government, that bill will have to be paid. There'll have to be infrastructure that'll invest in our future.
But aren't we seeing the cost of net zero now in these electricity price rises?
Well, exactly. And what we want to see, and one of the things that I'm proud that I championed when I became leader, was to champion small-scale modular nuclear, and I brought the Liberal Party with us. And I've got to give Peter Dutton credit for coming on that journey. Now more than ever, we need to start the debate on small-scale modular nuclear because we don't have to go and build $20 billion worth of Australian taxpayers' transmission lines. I mean,
yep.
Julia Gillard gold-plated poles and wires. This mob are going to platinum-plate it.
Yeah, there's going to be transmission everywhere.
We can actually...
I do need to move on. Sorry to cut you off, David Littleproud. We will come back to that. Appreciate your time.